Hello everybody, hi, this is Greg. I haven't talked to you for a while. Last time, we were talking about freedom last time. Well, today I'm going to talk to you as I'm driving home. I just want to say thank you so much for all your prayers and everything like that. And we got a chance to go to a cool place called Camp Constitution. And Camp Constitution was a place where we learned a lot about the Constitution. Obviously, it says in the name. But for the most part, though, it's one of those things where I'm glad to have gone because I learned so much about our country, you know? This country is an amazing country, you know. You talked a lot about. I won't be able to talk to you a lot of the details because as I'm driving, I got to kind of pay attention to the road and all that stuff. But I had car trouble on the way there, car trouble on the way back. But by the grace of God, we were able to make it. And so right now, I'm just about to go home. I just finished my one of my therapies for my arm, and pretty much I'm just here right now. What are some of the cool things? I just want to say thank you so much for listening, and thank you so much for just for being for paying attention to this whole time we're going through this. Today is an interesting day. It was very interesting today. Pretty much today's 2 months. 2 months since I got injured. The 28th, May 28th is when I got injured, and today's July 28th. So it's been 2 months exactly to this day when I've gotten injured. So I have range of motion, but my arm still hurts when I pick things up. I'm gonna have to see how soon I can get back to work and everything like that. Looking forward to that, actually. I miss work. I spent a lot of time with my family. We did a lot of things together. We had a lot of time just kind of spending time and traveling and going places and going to the beach and spending time together. Celebrated my anniversary, and I celebrated our 18th year anniversary together, and that was great. Pretty much, I'm looking forward to just more time together. What made today a very interesting day? What a day! With the fact that I was listening to all the things regarding the Attorney General. We listened to the Attorney General, and also we listened to this lady. Her name was oh goodness, I can't remember her first name, but Miss Emmanuel, and she was able to talk, and she was able to share some really wonderful things on Capitol Hill, yesterday, and so her video went viral. And so I had a copy of that. We were kind of getting copies of it, and we were posting it from BitChute and putting it into Facebook and everything like that. And it was really cool to be able to hear her say these things. But not just her, it was all the other doctors as well, talking about how this does not affect children. This is one of those things that doesn't affect children. And then they said a cure. They had the cure to the thing from, can't say what it is, but they found the cure. And then the cure is something they've already had. And so it's not like $1 million cure. No, we didn't have to have the poke stuff, because you can't see that either. Instead of that, what happens is that they have it, most people who recover from it, they recover with the mindset of, they recover without having the vaccination, the V word, I can't say the V word, and also without their own. So one of the things that was really good was that the fact of the matter that was one thing that hearing Bill Barr, William Barr having to testify or having to be a witness, and everybody's not listening to him. That was something. I was like, I can't believe how much they're actually just bombarding this guy. Every time he say answers, like for example, this guy from Jeffries from New York, a New York representative, was like, tell me the answer, and then they tell the answer, and says, the answer is this. It's wrong. The answer is, and so they were doing that throughout the entire time. And I was like, my wife and the kids and I were listening to that before I had to go to my session today. And I was like, I cannot believe how rude these people were. They asked him to be a witness, and they just kind of came to wipe their foot on him. Came to wipe their foot. It's like there's a thing where if you in the Caribbean, when your foot got dirty, or the stories they told me, when your foot got dirty, they have a thing like a knife outside that you use to wipe your foot. You wipe your foot on it and you clean your foot, And so what happens is that it would you use a knife to clean your foot so that you can get your feet clean so you can go into the house, or you can take off your shoes. Anyway, long story short, what happened was that that's what they were doing to him. They just wanted to say their point and go. They didn't want to hear his answer, what it would be. And every time he gave an answer, they would say, lie, or just that it's not true, or something like that effect. And so what was weird about it was that no matter how much he tried to answer, and no matter what he tried to say, or even defend himself, it was like, imagine your whole class in your school, whatever classroom that you, for example, if you had 3rd grade or 4th grade, the class that you hated the most in your life, right? Mine was 3rd grade. They hated the most. They have everybody in that classroom testify against you. They come to you and they start fighting with you, and they hit you with questions, or they ask you a question from 3rd grade, and they keep hitting you with questions about what you should do. And so the thing is, like, what's messed up about it is that you have it where it's like they're not waiting for an answer now. They're not waiting for an answer. They're actually waiting for. They just want to get their question out. So no matter what, and then when you get done with the question, it's like they don't have any opportunity or time for you to even answer the question you just got hit with. And then and the one part, he was in the middle of trying to talk to the people. He said, what, listen, I need a break. And they're like, no break for you. And I'm like, oh my goodness, this is the Attorney General. He's asking for a break, and they would not give it to him. Okay, so I'm like, my goodness, these people are onto something. What was great was that when the lady talked about, how she said, take off those masks, the Emmanuel, the warrior Emmanuel, Dr. Warrior Emmanuel, she said, I'm delayed from Nigeria. She said that, you know what, you should take off that mask. He says, end this stupid shutdown, He said, you don't need that. And so if some doctor come along and tell you that they did their thing, she said, we are working on the front line, 350 people that we were able to work with, And so she's a PCP, a primary care physician, and she was able to work with all these people. And so this is really good. I was glad I was able to hear this because that really encouraged me, Where we went to Camp Constitution. We got a chance to meet a lot of wonderful people. We got to see people in action who believed and believed the Constitution, which means that, we have a right to liberty, right to freedom, and how there's many things that are being done today that's not supposed to be part of, in our constitutional question or constitutional conversation. The whole purpose of a Congress is to make laws to defend us, And some of the things that don't believe is, for example, like health our situation. It's like that's something that they kind of added in, just like they had to do with the IRS. IRS is really part of the Constitution. It wasn't supposed to be there, but they added it as an amendment, and it was an amendment that was put under the pressure of so many different. Like you have senators, and you have the because what happens to make a law? It goes like this. First, you have the law. Or a bill is put into is meted out through Congress, right? And Congress has to mete out bills. So next time you vote, think about the people who go to Congress, not the president. The president is the last one on the line. The first one on the line is Congress. So when you get a Congress person, like in our case, we have some really messed up Congress people. They only come around for votes. Yeah, we know you are AOC. You only come around for votes. And then you disappear and you go and cry in empty parking lots. We understand what you're about. Anyway, long story short, what happens is that they come for votes, and then what happened? They have all these weird agendas they're trying to push, and there's some wickedness up in the government level. It's like somebody was saying that was Newt Gingrich was saying that Trump is not one of the he's not initiated. He wasn't initiated into the system. He's not part of the clubs, And so when we were going through our list about different things that were hidden, like the secret societies that are running the government, there's like the Skull and Bones, and there's a whole bunch. There's the Trilateral Commission, and they have so many more that are in there. There's the CFR. I forget all the names of them, but whatever happens is they have a situation where they have people in there, and what happens? We should be okay. Back to the thing about the laws. Congress is what writes a law. Congress writes laws because they're part of the legislative branch, and legislative means the law. And then you have, as the legislative branch, they help write the laws. And then you have between the Congress and the Senate, they have to bounce this law back and forth. They rally it back and forth, and they go off on it. But what happens is that what they tend to do is that they tend to not focus on these laws, and instead what they do is they don't focus to read it. They don't understand the laws that are written. Like for example, Pelosi said you have to pass the law to see what's in it, which is very bad. Like you're signing your name to something. We'll put you in there so you can read the papers. We pay you big bucks, you politicians, so that you guys can read the papers and then make a good value decision for us, so that we don't end up with the whole IRS thing again. IRS was a really bad move. Now, so Congress goes to the Senate, goes back to the Congress, goes back to the Senate, goes back to Congress, goes back to the Senate, and finally, when the Congress and Senate agree, they go to the president, and the president either signs on to it and says, yes, I agree, or no, I do not, and bounce it back to the House, and they bounce it back and forth, back to the wherever, and they volley, until finally, they say, okay, change these things here and there, go back, change these things here and there, and when they finish changing all these things, what ends up happening, they say, okay, now it's a law, the law's been ratified. And so for the law to pass, you have to have a majority rule in terms of the law, and then you have to have an agreement with the president, so they all have the checks and balances. And so also the judiciary branch is not doing what it's supposed to do either. They're not supposed to be, in a sense, writing and making case law. Case law is where they rule and they make a law from the bench. And the majority of laws that are out there are this case law where it's like they're making laws, and their judiciary branch is not supposed to be making laws. So these laws should be knocked down. So for example, they should defund the Fed. They should defund the Fed, and they should lower the monies of the Congress people unless they've read these papers that they've. Next thing too about the Constitution, there was before the Constitution was written, there was the Articles of Confederation. Now I have a book at home with it in there, the Articles of Confederation. I'm going to go home and read it at some point. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to be able to look into that because you have the Constitution. Before the Constitution, you had the Declaration of Independence. Okay, I'm not sure where I stopped, but I'll say before that. So you have the Articles of Confederation, and then you have the 1776. You have the Declaration of Independence. Declaration of Independence came first, then the Articles of Confederation, which is like the first Constitution, and then after that they struck down the Articles of Confederation because it was too weak, And then from there, they went to the Constitution, which we have Constitution proper today. And after that, they had amendments to the Constitution. Many amendments to the Constitution. Anyway, long story short, I learned a lot this week. I learned plenty. So much so that it was like, it was very amazing camp. My car kept on having trouble. My car has a trouble with it where it doesn't want to, I think I have an oil problem. I got one of those machines that'll tell you what's up, and it'll tell you what's in there and what goes wrong. But for the most part, though, it's like it was a good trip. I spent a good time with my family. We were so tired when we got home. We were so tired. It was great to go to it. Great to meet these new people. I made lifelong friends from there. I'm gonna see if I can spend more time just talking to the people. I met a gentleman named Hal Shirtlet, and he is like one of the leaders of the Camp Constitution. He helped form it, and then the whole formation of it all. It was one of those things that it was a very good thing because I learned things I did not know before, and one of the things I learned was that there was 7 presidents between the signing of the Articles of Confederation to 7 presidents that were 1-year term each, and then when it got to what's his name? When it got to George Washington, George Washington was the first president under the U.S. Constitution, so he's the first under the U.S. Constitution president, and so you have that. The next thing is that the scenario, and what makes it kind of interesting is that the whole thing about it, what makes it really good is that you have this thing where that the whole thing is teaching us about how important it is that our Constitution is what keeps us from being like the rest of the world. You see, after the American Revolution, we had a peaceful time to where 100 years later, we had a war against slavery, against ourselves, to end slavery. So whereas in the other countries, when they ended their rule of whatever it is, be it the government or the governor or something, or the governor or the king, to overthrow the monarch, it ended in like the reign of terror, like in France. And so the difference between them was where they had God. In terms of the French totally ousted God and said God doesn't belong here. Whereas for America, when they wrote the Bill of Rights and the Declaration of Independence, they put the biblical basis in that. They had the you shouldn't steal from your neighbor. Thou shalt not steal. You shouldn't covet your neighbor's stuff. He said, don't want your neighbor's stuff. Don't desire your neighbor's stuff. Don't be envious of your stuff. Go work and make your own. Life, pursuit of happiness. He said also they talked about you shouldn't covet your neighbor's wife. You shouldn't commit adultery. You shouldn't kill your neighbor. All these things. And so what those things saying is that what it's saying there is that there's a practical law. Government's supposed to help protect you from that. Not supposed to get up into our healthcare business. Not supposed to get up into all our other stuff. What the government's supposed to do is to protect us, and to protect us from anyone who want to take our rights away from us. Now, right to bear arms, we're supposed to be able to have guns, to be able to defend ourselves and our family with our guns. We're supposed to have that. What they do here in America is they make it so impossible for you to get, well, not America, but in here in blue states, for example, here in New York, it's like it makes it so impossible for you to get a gun that you have to jump through so many hoops to get one. And you can get one, you get one, you get one. And the thing is, but in order to get one, you have to go through so many different hoops. And this is, they make it impossible and make it all expensive. So that's not how the founding fathers had initially thought our life should be. They were like, back in the day, kids had it where they can go and just, you can get guns, and there was no shootings in school. There was none of that because they totally had the respect of the gun. It had cannons. It was a wonderful trip. We learned so many things. One of the things I wish I could spend more time learning to do was there was a thing that I had an obstacle in my mind I wanted to work against, and I can swim, but for some reason I was fearful. And when you get fearful of something, sometimes it's like it's like a barrier. And a barrier is one of those things that messes with you because it's a mental thing. I know my body knows it can swim. I know I can swim. I know how to swim. I know techniques of swimming, and I swim in the ocean like a lot, right? So I go to the ocean and swim like all the time. But I was in this pond, right? And this pond had this thing, and it was like somewhere in the center of the pond was about 18 feet deep. So it was super deep, right? And for me, it was like I could do it. I know I could swim from this side to that side. I can go back and forth, But I do have an injury to my arm, so I'm like, okay, well, should I risk it? But it wasn't that. I wasn't thinking of the injury in my arm. I was thinking about fear of drowning. And the fear of drowning was something for me that when I was a kid, I had so tremendously. And I had a friend of mine just passed away just a little while ago from drowning in the ocean. He was a good swimmer and everything like that. He was a lifeguard once, and I think what happened there was something happened where he was being dragged away in the rip current, and the rip current, he was here there with his son. And so I think what happened, not knowing the whole situation, but just based upon the fact if a person knows how to swim and they're a lifeguard, What would happen is that you got your mind off the situation for a second, and you're thinking about your son, and you thought about your son's life, and you didn't think of your own. And so I think about that, like you made sure his son got safe, and not necessarily I'm writing, but I don't know. I got to find out and talk to them and see how they're doing. But for the most part, though, it's like for me when I was at I was there with my son and my daughter, and pretty much, and it was a nice pond, and they had a 6 o'clock morning swim, like they call it the polar bear swim. Okay, so I went there with my family. What I'm saying is that there was a floaty thing, the thing that you did, like the cannonball thing, where one person jumps on one side and the other person jumps on it and it pitches the person in the air. Now I wanted to go to that so much and I didn't for some reason because I was afraid. Now, I understand fear to some degree, but this fear is really like a poison. If you are afraid, if you get afraid of something or afraid of someone, what happens? It makes you incapacitated. It makes you weak. Now. The reason why people drown or people do stuff or I didn't make it because I was afraid. I was afraid I was going to drown. No, I knew I wasn't going to drown because I know how to swim. But the thing is, for some reason, I believed that I was going to drown. And so anyway, what happened was like when I got into the situation, I didn't surpass it. I didn't surpass my fears. And so for that, I feel like, I missed an opportunity. So I said, I'll do it tomorrow. And there was no more opportunity for me to do it again. So I lost that opportunity. I didn't go swimming again for the rest of the week. And so I missed the opportunity to write my fears and to do it. So that's the same thing with us here in the situation here. There's a chance for you to stand up and fight. You can either make your presence known and declare. You can let your bosses know. Let your laundromat know. Let the Costco know. Let the people that you work with know that you can't do the mask thing. And have your papers ready. Have the paper. Know your stuff. Be ready to fight because they're going to fight. And you have to hold your ground. Because what you're fighting for. You might say this is not important. Hey, look, I'm wearing a seatbelt. Oh yeah, I'm wearing a seatbelt. But it's like they say it's proven. Now, there's no fact that it proves that these masks actually work to help us, stop the spread of the bee bug, right? So instead, what happens is like they just have a thing where they put it on us, and they're not sure about anything. They're not sure about anything. First, they were like, oh, we'll find a cure. They're not even looking for a cure. It's like they're like cancer. They don't want to find a cure to cancer. You know how much industry comes from cancer? As a matter of fact, it says in the bylaws of the American Cancer Society. Then the day we find a cure to cancer, we're going to disband. You think they're going to find that cure to cancer? It's kind of like, it's like, we are like the thing with Palpatine. Palpatine in Star Wars. He's been, the Galactic Empire. Only for a time we're doing a separatist threat, but he's behind the separatist threat. He's working the clones and he's working the separatists. So he's on both his hands on both sides, and he's working. So no matter which side wins, he's still in control. So if the separatists win, he's in control. If the separatists win, he's in control. If the robots, if the old republic wins, then what happens? They're still under control. So it's like that thing. So you have a thing where no matter what they do, they're still in control. So the thing of the matter is, like, they play this game and they keep adding and taking away more stuff from they can't take our rights away from us. They're not allowed to take our rights away from us, but we give it up willingly. So the thing is called a waiver. So a waiver is when you say, you know what, I'm not going to stand for my rights today, and I'll fight for them tomorrow, which is at that point too late. Eventually you get things where we're just kind of defending ourselves late in the game, and because of that, what happens is that you have no rights, you have no more rights left because they've taken them away, and they made the laws that say your rights don't exist. Eventually, here it is. We have to get a permit in order to get a gun. You have to have a permit in order to get a gun. Here you have to have a permit in order to get this, or to go fishing, or permit to work the land in your yard. You have a permit to move a tree, like you do in California. So you have 10 laws in California for you to do stuff. 10 laws, so you can actually walk across your yard. And I'm just maybe exaggerating a little bit, but someone says in order for you to you have a creek going through your city, through your pond, your lake, a lake going through your property, a creek going through your property. You can't do anything to that. If it starts to flood, you have to get a permit to deal with the water. And you have to get a permit. You got to wait for your land to be flooded. Make sure the office is open that day after the flood, and go and deal with them and get a piece of paper that says this and this and that. You have to get in order for you to drive. You have to have a license and a registration. And you have to have all these things. In order to do all these things, all these are right, not rights, but privileges that the state gives to us, right? So it goes from being a right to a privilege. And so there are certain things. So, for example, now what's the name? You have Bernie Sanders talking about how healthcare should be a human right. He says that, right? It says a human right, but what they do is they make it. You have a privilege of it instead of a human right. But as a human rights are being taken away. If you want to do anything, you have to first be able to prove that you can do it. It's that's why I like making these little creatures and stuff like that. It's weird because, but when I make these little animals, I don't have to ask anybody permission to do it. I just gotta ask them what kind of creatures they want, and then from there. You know, I'm on Fiverr, by the way. If anyone of you want a creature that I can make for you, I'm on Fiverr. And so for the most part, though, I have to get back home. I'm right now not too far from home. We're trying to get back home. Gotta get across the street. Gonna cross this street. Gonna cross this street. All right, so here we go. Almost there. For the most part, though, you know, it's kind of one of those things where when you realize that you're boiling to death, it's already too late at that point. When you realize you're boiling to death, it's too late to fight because you've already been boiled. And they say the thing, when your patients are dead, they can't come back to life and explain anything to you. They're already dead. So there you have it. There you have it. They're already dead. Goodness. Oh, goodness, what is this thing? Oh, goodness, it's so weird. Oh, goodness, so weird and shiny. Alright. It's masking tape. Masking tape in 100-degree weather doesn't do so well. Well, I guess it's like, you know, when you have it on the side of a hot car. This little thing that I made is starting to, like, 100-degree weather is not good for a car. You know, cars are amazing. Okay, so you know what? That's kind of all I have to talk to you about today. So many things. That's so many things to talk about, but that's all I can talk to you about. Okay, I just want to say God bless you. We had a really wonderful trip, and we came back, and now we're here, and we spent time together with family, saw some friends, and thank you so much for our friend Vito and Lori for their help to get us to Camp Constitution. So we just want to say God bless you. Thank you all for being there. Peace and God bless, and hope to hear from you soon. All right, so follow me, like, and subscribe, and share. Okay, bye.